Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Alpha Male Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Terrell. Thank you for joining us. Well, let's get into it. So this is another episode about being alone. The first one was a little bit scattered. My apologies. We're figuring it out, guys. We're figuring it out together. What I wanted to discuss was the power of being alone. And there is power to that. Because you need to do it. Because you're with yourself. That's saying wherever you go, there you are. Basically, you can't escape your problems. But it's really important to get comfortable being alone, comfortable being by yourself, because that's the person you're with all the time. You can't escape it, right? And I think when people are bouncing from relationship to relationship, it's really kind of dangerous and unhealthy because you just can't be alone. Being alone is powerful because you can figure shit out. You can figure out yourself. And I'm not saying you can't do that with another person or with a therapist, but the real processing happens when you're alone and you're thinking and maybe you're journaling. If you need the answer to something you've been dealing with, like a problem or something you need figured out, you need to make a decision, and you don't journal, go journal. And I guarantee you, if you don't find the answer, you'll at least find a good clue as to what you really want to do and what the best way is to move forward. Because often we know what the answer is. We just can't. There's a lot of shit that gets in the way, things of what we think we should do or think we should be, and we can't really articulate it. It doesn't crystallize. And then you just figure out what you didn't know you knew. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's basically it. I didn't know I knew that about myself, or I didn't know I knew that about life. I didn't know that I actually wanted that thing. And you can discover that through journaling. It actually is amazing. Just right. So I think that's really, really powerful. And if you can do stuff on your own, there's a strength there. I think there's an internal strength, an inherent strength that you don't need anyone else to find fulfillment and joy. There's no weakness. There's nothing bad about needing people. I think, that's sort of where extroverts live, I guess, is they need people to feel fulfilled and connected. And I understand that. But I think you can't always find that. Sometimes people are busy. Sometimes they don't have time for you. They have their own lives. And if you can't just enjoy your own company, what the fuck? What's the point in life? I have a great time by myself. Not in that way, perverts. But I really do. I figure shit out and I talk to myself and I crack myself up. Yeah, it's great. It's a great time. And I think the thing that is a real problem and kind of depressing is that we as human beings, at least in the West, but I think it's spread to all parts of the world, we are alone more than ever before because of this fucking thing. I just picked up my phone. And yet at the same time, we're not alone with ourselves. We're alone, except we're not with ourselves. We're on social media or we're texting or watching a movie or reading an article. We're not with ourselves. We're not, because we're doing something else. We're being distracted by this thing, right? So it's weird because we're alone a lot because we're spending all this time on our devices, except we're not actually with ourselves. We're with something else. And that's just bizarre and also a big problem. And it's why we're so addicted, because being alone is when the shit comes up. The pain comes up, the discomfort, and we don't want to face it. It's uncomfortable. And somehow we've got it into our head that we shouldn't be uncomfortable at any point. We should be comfortable at all times. And that's ridiculous. And I don't know why we think that. I guess society, media has sold us this thing be comfortable all the time. Anything you need. it just keeps building and building. They keep creating inventions like the smart home, like smart lights. Why the fuck do I need a smart light? I can just flick the switch. It's not a big. I don't need to have it connected on my phone. Why do I need like a Google Home and all this shit? It should just like be as comfortable as you can. Never face any adversity, never face any discomfort. Just be sitting in a floating thing of cushiony, just and it's just blowing stuff up your asshole, and that's too much. But yeah, it's what the fuck was I lost my train of thought so badly. Being alone. This is real time, you guys. Okay, you're hearing this shit. I'm not gonna edit this out. Absolutely not. Okay, we're figuring it out. Real time. No, I probably will edit this out though. So yeah, we're on these things, and I realized this morning that it's not just that it's addictive, it's also habitual, and it's a self-enforcing habit that we get into. For example, when I wake up, and like I have a rule I try to implement every day: no phone for the first hour that I'm awake, because I'm just more focused and calm, and my mental health is a lot better when I don't use it. But sometimes I wake up and I'm depressed or I'm tired and I just want an escape. So then I'll go for the phone when I'm on the can or whatever. And too much info again, you're welcome. And then so I've started the day with this habit already. The habit of going for the phone to escape, to medicate, to numb. And so I think it's this self-perpetuating habit we get into where if we don't want to face something comes up, we just go to the phone to escape, right? And so it's not just that it's addictive, it's also that the addiction is tied in the habit we've made for ourselves. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. But so it's about breaking that habit. And oh man, I don't know why it has to be alone. Oh yeah. So but yeah, it's just it's a strange time. It's a strange time, and I don't know. What else do I have to say about being alone? Oh, being lonely. Yeah, there's a big difference between being alone and then being lonely and alone. Because being lonely fucking sucks. And I don't think anything good comes out of being lonely. It's just it feels painful. When you're lonely, it just really feels painful. So I don't know what that could serve other than appreciating when you're with loved ones, family, friends, whatever, coworkers, colleagues. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess I understand why people go to the phone and go to the stuff and Netflix and all that, video games, because it's like, oh, well, I'm lonely right now. What do you want me to do? Right? What, I'm supposed to meditate or something? I'm supposed to go to the gym? I don't have much more to say on that. Other than I think it's a powerful thing to get used to yourself and get comfortable with yourself. Get comfortable with your demons and get comfortable with who you are. And so you can hopefully eventually like who you are, love who you are. Isn't self-love the goal? For me, it is, right? We spend so much time beating ourselves up and hating ourselves, not liking who we are as people. And that's just fucked up. It's just tragedy that is the experience for people living in the West, at least. I was at my meditation center, and the leader was saying how people's experience tends to be that of feeling unworthy and not liking themselves in the West. That tends to be people's experience. And I was like, it was so validating to hear. I'm like, holy shit, I'm not the only one. Like, I knew I wasn't the only one. I knew self-deprecation and self-hatred was just like a thing. Like, it's almost popular. It's almost cool. Like, oh, look at him. He's so edgy. He hates himself. It's like, no, it's not cool. It's fucked up. It's a travesty. It's a tragedy. That's where suicide comes from. It leads to that. I'm not being overdramatic here. It's just, it's a real bummer. So it's not cool or edgy or whatever. It's sad. and unnatural. That's not how we're supposed to be. Humans, we're not born disliking ourselves. It's a learned behavior. And yeah, and then, I was talking about that, and then he was saying how he was in the East somewhere in China, I think, or one of the countries in Asia. And the people didn't even understand the concept of not liking yourself. Like, they didn't understand that concept. And I was like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Like, it's just like a fucking epidemic of self-loathing going on. It's fucked. Yeah, I don't know. And it really does feel like, and it's felt like this even when I was a teenager. It's not cool to like yourself. Like, oh, what a dork. You're so lame. No, you gotta be like moody and put yourself down. Like, that's the cool thing to do. I remember doing that just because I thought, like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do, is like a cool person. And say, I want to be edgy, right? It's fucked. I don't know. Anyways, happy to uplift you with that little bit. Anyways, people, thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, smash that like button, as they say. Ugh, gross. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.